Good morning, Malacanang Press Corps and guests. Let's now have Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Welcome back, sir.
Hi, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back and belated Happy Easter to all. Let me begin by giving a briefing on what transpired in the cabinet meeting yesterday. Although it's been reported already, the cabinet approved the Philippine Oral Health Program and approved the issuance of an executive order that would, among others, appropriate specific amounts for the hiring of more dentists to be deployed, particularly in the rural areas. No? We also approved the Pasig River Ferry Convergence Program, which would lead to the reopening of the Pasig ferry system. And the President also informed the Cabinet that he has authorized the resumption of peace talks, subject to the condition number one, that the NPA, CPP NPA would honor a genuine ceasefire, that there should actually be no shooting if and when the peace talks resume. Number two, that the CPP NPA would desist from collecting revolutionary tax while a ceasefire is ongoing. And number three is that the CPP NPA would not insist on a coalition government, no, because that is absolutely not part of the bargaining table. No? So if the CPP NPA would agree to these conditions, then peace talks could resume. And if peace talks resume, the president said he's even able and willing to grant Joma Sison an assurance that he can come home without being arrested for the purpose of participating in the peace talks. Now, former Congressman Nani Briganza was deployed yesterday to meet with the bargaining panel of the CPP-NPA to relay this information to them. Now, also yesterday, the Cabinet and the President approved the recommendation of the three departments, the ENR, DOT, and DILG, for a maximum closure of Boracay for maximum period of 6 months. Now, at the end of the meeting, the President, though, clarified that one of the first things that will be done upon closure of Boracay is validation on which resorts are complying with existing environmental rules and regulations. And although he did not commit anything as far as the complying resort owners are concerned, he has promised that the validation will be done quickly and he will see right away what can be done for those who have been validated to be complying with environmental laws. And of course, the 6 month period is by way of a maximum period as recommended by the three departments. Now, proceeding to three items of good news on the Cavite Gateway Terminal. The Philippines will soon have its first barge terminal. According to the Department of Transportation, the Cavite Gateway Terminal is now 85% complete with its expected inauguration within the second quarter of 2018. This will allow the transshipment of cargo from Manila Port to Cavite via barges. Once completed, this would help decongest the traffic in Metro Manila. The Philippines is indeed a fun and safe destination. Forbes magazine cited the Philippines as one of the 5 spots in Asia that are booming for tourists for 2018. It attributed the increased tourist attention to the country's improved local infrastructure and air connectivity, which are all part of the Department of Tourism's priorities to improve flight accessibility. According to the latest tourism statistics, the country welcomed a total of 1,406 and 337 international visitors for January to February alone, which is 16.5% higher compared to 1,210,817 total for the same period in 2017. We expect that this added convenience will vastly increase the number of international travelers in our country, improve their overall tourist experience, and contribute to more people-to-people exchange. And finally, magandang balita po para sa mga magsasaka sa Negros Occidental. Ayon sa Department of Agriculture and Department of Agrarian Reform, sa pagpapatupad ng continuing agrarian reform program sa ilalim ng Administrasyong Duterte, umabot sa higit kumulang na 1,823 na hektarya na lupain ang pinamahagi sa 1,940 agrarian reform beneficiaries sa Negros Occidental noong nakaraang buwan. These agricultural lands cover 108 land holdings in 23 municipalities in the province with crops classification of 65% of sugarcane, 15% rice field, 10% corn, 7% root crops, and 3% mixed trees. Now, let's open the floor for um, um, questions first, but let's reserve the questions for Boracay for last.
Okay, Laila Salaveria.
Morning, sir. Sir, for
Morning.
the record, what's the status of Justice Secretary Aguirre?
He's Secretary of Justice.
Sir, did you get a chance to talk with him last night about reports that he was on the way out?
No, I did not have that opportunity, but he was there as always. He seemed normal. There was no indication that he was on his way out. It was there was nothing extraordinary in effect. No, he was just there, like always.
Did the president say anything about him?
Nothing at all.
Did the president say anything about any cabinet movement?
None in this meeting.
May follow-up question? Other issue, Rose Novenario.
And I'd like to clarify that the President issued a statement on possible revamp in a meeting with select opinion writers, no, here in Malacanang as well. And I believe many of them have written about it. No?
Hi sir, good morning.
Hi, Rose.
Sir, ano po yung magiging epekto nitong inaasahang pagbabalik sa peace talks ng gobyerno at ng CPP-NPA po dun sa petition na i-declare na terrorist organization yung CPP?
Well, tignan muna po natin kung magkakaroon ng kasunduan na ituloy muna muli ang peace talks, no? Dahil ipaparating pa lang kahapon, no, kagabi ni dating Congressman Braganza yung desisyon ng presidente.
May nabanggit po si Presidente na posible niyang ipatigil yung petisyon
That's a
tungkol din sa
possibility.
terror tag.
That's a possibility, pero sa ngayon po, antayin muna natin kung ano magiging kasagutan ng CPP-NPA.
Sir, ano po yung ibig sabihin ni Presidente dun sa bibigyan niya ng suporta, wag lang daw po mangolekta ng revolutionary tax? Pakipaliwanag po yun.
Well, he will find ways and means to assist members of the CPP-NPA by way of providing them livelihood and housing, if possible, provided that they cease and desist from collecting revolutionary taxes.
So, synonymous po yun sa pagiging pagbabalik loob na yung ano niya, yung panawagan niya. Parang rebel returnist na yung turing niya doon.
I did not get that impression. I think the President was just saying, tignan natin kung anong pangangailangan ninyo, pero as a precondition for yung resumption ng peace talks, itigil ang pangungulekta ng revolutionary tax.
Thank you.
Follow-up, Dexter, Raymond, then Maricel. Microphone, please, Nestor.
Hi, Sec. Good morning.
Hi.
Sec, ngayong itutuloy na yung peace talks. Anong mangyayari doon sa Proclamation number 374 na nilagdaan ng Pangulo noong Disyembre, tagging NPA, CPP-NPA as terrorists?
Well, that was actually the question of Rose. And there's an actual petition, no, pursuant to the Human Security Act, no, to declare them as terrorists. My answer earlier was we don't know in the first place if the CPP-NPA will agree to the terms of the president, no, because the terms are not subject to negotiation. No. Number one is absolute ceasefire. Number two, cease and desist from collecting revolutionary taxes. And ano pa yung pangatlo na sabi ko kanina? And no coalition government, no, as part of the agenda.
How about po yung sa mga na-arrest na may arrest warrant na mga consultant ng NDF? What will
Alam
happen?
niyo naman po, pag natuloy muli ang peace talks, magkakaroon uli sila ng free pass na tinatawag, no? Oo, JASI, para makapag-participate, no, doon sa peace talks. At yan nga po ay ibibigay din ni Presidente kay Joe Masison mismo.
Bago yung desisyon ng Pangulo, last na lang sir, may pag-atake ang NPA sa Davao kamakailan and nung isang araw din sa Alabel, Sarangani Province na nag-displace ng mga ibang families. Dun sa area.
Well, actually, na-inform po ang presidente na may atake, no? In fact, ang atake was in Mindanao, no? Some tribal leader, no? Some indigenous leader. Pero ang sabi naman niya, well, let's keep an open mind because hindi pa naman tayo nag-agree to resume the peace talks. So sa ngayon, wala pa namang peace talks. So, of course, wala pang breach to speak of.
Raymond Tinasa.
Sir, good
Raymond.
morning. Sir, what prompted or made the president have a change of heart and mind? Kasi parang as far as I see, parang hindi pa nakamit yung condition na enabling environment. Kasi ongoing yung mga attacks, extortion, and all those mga inaayawan ng Pangulo bago i-resume yung peace talks.
I can only surmise that it is the president's commitment to achieve a lasting peace for the country. No? Yung briefing na ginawa niya kay Secretary Duresa at kay Secretary Bello came immediately after a short briefing he had with selected congressional leaders, no, about the BBL. So nakikita nyo na seryoso si Presidente na makamit ang kapayapaan sa number one, laban sa mga Muslim at laban din sa mga komunista.
So now, what's the guidance of the executive to the AFP? Considering the recent pronouncement of the president, so there would still be expected operations, active operations against the NPA or halt for now?
Wala pa naman pong kasunduan na tuloy ng usapan at isa po yan sa precondition. Hindi naman tayo papayag na tuloy na naman ang usapan tapos patuloy pa na naman ang kanilang pag-aatake. No? Kaya nga natigil yung peace talks dahil nga habang nag-uusap ng kapayapaan, patuloy ang pamamaril sa ating kasundaluhan at sa sibilyan. So, sa ngayon po, wala pang kasunduan muli, pero inaasahan natin na kung tatanggapin ng CPP-NPA yan, susunod ang parehong partido, no? Doon sa kanilang kasunduan na habang nag-uusap, absolute ceasefire.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, last two on peace talks, Maricel Halili and Cedric and
Hi sir, good morning. Sir, just one quick clarification. Yung tungkol po dun sa mga political detainees na pinakawalan, I understand it will depend kung ano yung mangyayari sa kanila following yung magiging respond ng CPP-NPA. But then, habang hinihintay po yung what will happen to the agreement, ano po yung instruction ni Presidente dun sa mga law enforcers? Will they still pursue yung mga may arrest warrant or
So far po,
status quo?
ang sagot ng Presidente nung sinabihan siya na meron na namang bagong pag-atake, no? Matapos maanunsyo yung kagustuhan ni Presidente na ngang ituloy ang peace talks, ang sabi niya, wala pa naman tayong kasunduan na ituloy. So, I suppose, in response to your question, habang wala pang kasunduan na ituloy ang peace talks, tuloy pa rin po ang operasyon laban din sa NPA, gaya ng patuloy pa rin ang pag-atake nila sa ating mga kasundaluhan.
okay, friendly reminder MPC, one question, two follow-ups. We still have representatives from DOT, DILG, and DNR. Cedric?
Sir, good morning po. Sir, balikan ko lang po yung posibleng support doon sa NPA fighters po. Hindi po ba prerequisite yung surrender para mabigyan sila ng suporta ng gobyerno?
I did not understand it to be as a prerequisite. Basta sabi ni Presidente, itigil muna yung revolutionary tax na yan at tignan natin kung paano natin sila matutulungan.
Sir,
It was also open-ended, hindi rin binigyan ng kasiguruhan kung anong maibibigay sa CPP-NPA habang nag-uusap ng kapayapaan.
sir, hindi po kaya ma-perceive as the government giving into extortion yung sige, tigilan na yung revolutionary tax, in exchange for that, bibigyan namin kayo ng suporta, sir?
Hindi naman. I think it's more of a humanitarian assistance dahil kung talagang magkakaroon na ng usaping kapayapaan muli, tignan natin paano nga matutulungan yung kabuhayan ng mga CPP-NPA.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ace, Arvil, then Nel.
Secretary, what would warrant a withdrawal of the petition on the terror tag?
Siguro po, pag natuloy na muli ang pag-uusap, pwede naman mag-file ang manifestation ang gobyerno, no, na i-hold mo nila in abeyance yung petisyon na nakahain sa hukuman pending the outcome of the peace talks.
So, possible na pwedeng i-withdraw yun pag nag-resume yung talks. And then, based on dun sa mga conditions na sinabi po ninyo na no revolutionary tax collection, no...
I think it will be withdrawn if there is a final peace agreement signed. But while the peace talks are ongoing, ang pwedeng gawin is dyan lang siya.
So, it's possible that while ongoing yung negotiations, nandun pa rin yung petition sa Manila
Oo.
court.
I would think that would be the recourse.
Thank you, Secretary.
Okay, last two are Vil Denel.
Hi, sir. Good morning. In response to President Duterte's announcement yesterday, CPP founder Joma Sison said there should be no precondition for the resumption of the peace talks. So how could this affect po yung
We are
situation,
awaiting their response to the government position that we're willing to resume peace talks but subject to those conditions. So if that is the official response of the CPPA, NPA, so be it.
Okay, Nel? Okay na?
Okay?
Ixamintak.
Secretary, magandang umaga po.
Yes po.
Just a clarification lang doon sa sinabi nyo kanina na isa sa posibleng nagpabago sa isip ng Pangulo para bumalik sa usapang pangkapayapaan. Hindi nga lang.
Oo.
Yung,
Alam ko walang elevator.
Walang
Oo.
elevator. Yung nakipag-usap siya sa ilang mga congressional representatives, may kinalaman ba yon doon sa resolution ng 61 na mga congressmen na humihingi kay Presidente na ibalik sa usapang pangkapayapaan?
I don't think so. Pero kaya ko po sinabi yon kasi nga ang marching orders ni Presidente kay Speaker at saka kay kay Senate President magkaroon na ng final version ng ma-certify as urgent, no, para mapabilis na yung pagpasa ng BBL. I mentioned that because that is evidence that the President is serious in his desire to achieve peace in Mindanao, and he is very serious in achieving peace for the entire Philippines, and that includes peace with the CPP-NPA. As he has been genuine in this desire from the very beginning of his term.
Sir, last na lang. May pending petition ng Malacanang doon sa pagtag sa CPP-NPA as
Nasagot
terrorist
na po
group.
yan kanina.
Hindi, pero what if kung ang korte nag-decide na paboran ang petition na sila ay terrorist group? What will happen?
Alam niyo po kasi may proseso yan sa Human Security Act. Kinakailangan magdinig pa po, no? Magtanggap ng ebidensya, magpresenta ng ebidensya ang gobyerno. Hindi po yan unilateral. There will have to be facts to be proven by the government. Kaya hindi naman po yan uusad at hindi magkakaroon ng deklarasyon na terorista sila habang hindi po natatapos ang presentation of evidence ng gobyerno.
Okay, thank you. Big other issue na, Dexter?
Sek, balikan ko lang yung kay Secretary Aguirre. May mga binabanggit na report na meron talaga siyang resignation letter, pero ito ay shredded na ngayon dahil hindi pumayag ang Pangulo. Shredded.
I have no information on this. And I do not know where the information is coming from. But Secretary Aguirre was present as Secretary of Justice in yesterday's cabinet meeting.
Nagsalita po ba siya dahil may mga kumalat na kopya ng kanang di umano'y resignation letter?
Wala pong nabanggit kahit ano si Secretary Vit Aguirre.
Darrell?
Hi, folks. Good morning po.
Good morning,
Yes,
Darrell.
na-interview po si John Masison and sabi po niya if the peace talks with the rebels will gladly enter a ceasefire agreement if the amnesty and the release of the political prisoners will be fulfilled daw po.
I do not know how to respond to that because the President has said he's willing to resume the peace talks but subject to those conditions.
Okay, Raymond, then last na tayo kay Laila. Raymond Tenasa.
Sir, doon lang sa, kasi before the Holy Week, the President made a promise or announcement that when he get back to Manila, parang he will fire or dismiss a cabinet rank official. So, will we expect for him to do this still kahit na parang medyo na tabunan na yung issue allegedly kay Secretary Aguirre?
The President was quoted as having said that. I was not present when he said it, so I cannot say that I have personal knowledge that he in fact said it. But if he did, it's his prerogative. Everyone in the cabinet serves at the pleasure of the president.
So, how was the cabinet meeting yesterday? Wala ba yung parang environment na parang, was he still happy with everybody of you sa performance nyo sa cabinet?
Well, it started at 4:30 and ended at 11:50. You can imagine we were all eager to go home at 11:50.
Okay, last two, Virgil, then Laila.
Sir, update lang dun sa meeting with the President, with the congressional leaders, BTC and MILF.
Wala namang MILF doon,
Dun
congressional
sa-
leaders lang.
Dito sa may picture, sir. Ano sila, ano?
Hindi ko sila, prior siguro, no?
Pero
Naabutan
anyway,
ko na
sir,
lang.
yung meeting with the...
Wala lang, yun lang ang nangyari, no? Ang nangyari po ay the president asked them to finalize already their version of the BBL, to consolidate all pending versions, and he will certify it as urgent nang mapabilis na ang passage ng BBL.
May 30 pa rin yun. Or,
Opo.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, Laila.
Sir, did you get the chance to discuss the NFA issue, considering that there seeming to be friction between the council and the NFA itself?
It was not discussed, but as matters stand, I understand Secretary Ibasco was here yesterday or the last press briefing, and that's the latest on the matter.
Sir, but is it a cause for concern for the palace that the NFA council is accusing the NFA of creating an artificial shortage of rice?
I can only say that the president always stands by his cabinet members. Even on the issue of Boracay, he followed the recommendation of his cabinet members. So he will stand by the recommendation of his cabinet members.
How about, does he stand by NFA Administrator Aquino?
He's not a member of the cabinet.
So, sir, may calls from senators for Aquino to be replaced. Has the president said anything about
He
this?
hasn't said anything, but as is the policy of the president, he will stand by his cabinet members.
Is he planning to do anything about Administrator Aquino, maybe review his performance?
I have no information on that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Presidential Spokesperson. Celerina, sige.
Sorry, habol lang. So regarding the Pasig rehabilitation, is it true that Madam Hanilet would be part of that, if ever that body that will handle that rehabilitation?
It was not mentioned in the press in the briefing given by Secretary Jokno yesterday.
So, if ever, kasi there's this report nga, just in case she would express her interest to be part of that, kasi yung mga previous first ladies, parang yun yung ginagawa nila eh. So, would she be given any position?
No information on that yet. The
Okay.
only information that I have from yesterday's meeting was the cabinet approved the revival of the ferry system.
Okay, thank you, Celerina. Thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque.
No, mayroon pa.
Yeah, sir.
Now, start the questions first on what happened on the Boracay issue as far as the cabinet is concerned. And then the details of what happens from now on, I will now invite our guests, and our guests include my suke, Yusek Leones, my suke in even in the UP Law Center, and then nasan pa? Wala dito. Okay, and we are also joined by Asek Alegre and Asek Dense. Okay? Now, as I said, the President approved the recommendation given by the Department of Energy, Environment and Natural Resources, Tourism, and the ILG for temporary closure of Boracay for a maximum period of 6 months commencing April 26. The President also said that the first thing that will be done will be a validation on which resort owners are in compliance with environmental rules and regulations, and that he will then decide after the validation what to do with the resort owners that will be found to be fully compliant with existing rules and regulations. Now, the closure is a maximum of 6 months, which means it could be for a shorter period of time. Now, that's all that was discussed in the cabinet meeting. Now, the details you can ask from any one of our resource persons today.
Laila?
First box muna. Sir, kasi the DTI proposed that the closure be done in phases. Why was this idea rejected?
I believe the DILG secretary explained that it cannot be done in phases because it has to be a total approach to Boracay. He says that although infrastructure work may be done in phases, the entire rehabilitation, though, can't be done in phases. No? Priority in the presentation of Secretary Simatu was not just on the building of drainage, it was on the building of sewage lines, because although there is an existing sewage line operated by Boracay Water, that clearly is insufficient, as proven by the fact that they have, ano man tawag doon? Backflows. So there's an urgent need to build a new sewage system in addition to the existing ones. While the drainage systems, the major drainage systems have been rehabilitated, there's a need for additional drainage system. And of course, the issue still is wastewater system. No? So that's why Secretary Anyo was insistent that it must be total closure.
For any of the officials, the closure would begin April 26. Is this enough time for the businesses and the resort owners to prepare?
In behalf of the Interagency Task Force, it's been 3 months we've been working on Boracay. The mention of April 26 was done several times. We just needed confirmation. We are very thankful to the President for his trust and confidence. We know that this is 21 days. We know that they have been preparing. In fact, we're very pleased to know that even without the April 26 mention, they're already cleaning up. It will take longer than 6 months to rehabilitate and sustain and save Boracay. But this is a good start because the major works that have to be done unhampered without the presence of too many people on the island. Remember, we're not closing the island, but we will not allow tourists, foreign and local tourists, to come during the time of the rehabilitation. We're hoping that the 35,000 to 50,000 residents will also help us clean up and rehabilitate the island.
Thank you.
AC Nichols? AC.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, what specific steps will have to be done or what kind of preps will you be doing beginning now up to April 26?
On behalf of the interagency, I will respond to that question. Actually, the activities for the rehabilitation Boracay has not started, will not start only in April 26. In fact, even before Holy Week, we have been closely coordinating with the local government units and the stakeholders of Boracay, and we came up with already with a plan on how we will be doing the rehabilitation works if in case the president will declare the closure of Boracay. So I think initial preparation has already been made with the stakeholders, and the initial coordination with the two concessionaires were already made, and the local government units has given us their commitment to support with the rehabilitation of the Boracay Island.
Yusek Leones from DNR. Okay, Celerina to be followed by Sheila and Tuesday.
One follow-up lang.
Okay.
Sir, what kind of attachments or facts were submitted or presented to the President para ma-convince siya for the total closure?
Well, based on the information that we've talked about since February, it's more really on the side of the pollution side. No? First of all, one instance is the island generates around 90 to 115 tons of garbage a day, and we're only able to overhaul or bring out 30 tons. So what is left there is around 60 to 85 tons of garbage in the island. And if you look at the island right now, the old MRF facility is now a dump site, which is again against environmental laws. That's number one. Number two, with regard to the discharge of water in the drainage system in the Bulabog outfall, the standard water that should be discharging there should be around 400 mpn per 100 ml. As of the last evaluation of the DNR, it already has reached 40 times against the standard. It's around 18,000 mmM for every 100 ml. So those are just the basic side of the issues. But more importantly, we're looking at the island in its totality, where Boracay Island is seen as a major world-class tourist destination, yet in fact we are not able to address the major issue that it is not in terms of public safety, public order, road system, of course the issue of environmental degradation. So we're looking at the island in its totality. And just to clarify, no, as mentioned by ASIC Ricky, we are not letting the tourists come into the island at least for 6 months, no, at most 6 months. The reason behind us not closing the institutions or the establishments, because first of all, government and its agencies cannot arbitrarily close institutions without due process. And since the major issue of pollutants come from the market, which are the tourists coming into the island, it's really best that we don't let them in temporarily, so that while we're doing the whole rehabilitation work, there will be no additional pollutants that can come into the island in the meantime. So it's an issue of the state exercising its valid exercise of its police power in this case.
Okay. Salarina?
Good morning. Do you have any estimate as to how much would be spent by the government to rehabilitate the island? Like including the livelihood assistance and all those infrastructure projects?
It's an ongoing computation. The problem really we have is that every day we find out something new, which is the reason also why we're going to conduct a working conference on Tuesday in the island of Boracay. This will be hosted by the Interagency Task Force. We hope to be able to get a clearer picture before Tuesday, but as it is, we are still discovering pipes that have been hidden from us all these years. As to the cost, DNR, DILG, and DOT are now looking, and government will spend. The President mentioned to the interagency heads that there will be funds to help and assist those displaced workers. We're also going to compute the loss to revenue in the tourism receipts, because you know it brought in 56 billion last year. Also in the number of tourists that will arrive. But let's be clear about this. This is being done to sustain and save Boracay. This is the first of many tourist destinations that we are going to look into. And the whole message, it's still more fun in the Philippines, and more importantly, we are environmentally compliant. That's the message that we want to get out. And we want everybody to buy in to the work that we're going to do in Boracay. And with the working conference on Tuesday, we hope that we can get more people to help us clean and rehabilitate Boracay.
Sir, I believe the initial proposal was supposedly 1 year to close Boracay. What happened? Bakit na-shorten?
It was mentioned by Secretary Simatu, maximum of 1 year. Let me tell you what happened. We're very happy that Governor Miraflores came out and came to the interagency meeting unannounced, and he presented a short-term, mid, and long-term plan which is consistent with what the interagency has been saying. He is now working with the LGU. We told him if he can do this, it can shorten the time period of shutdown. And as we speak, we know he's doing it. We're hoping that the stakeholders will come in as well, and the private sector can help reduce the time that we need to clean up and rehabilitate Boracay.
Last to the ILG representative. Sir, are you now preparing any administrative or criminal charges against any local officials or individuals there sa...
Yeah, we've finished our evidence gathering. We're finishing our case build-up activity. Right now, our lawyers are drafting a potential administrative case. Most probably, the best way is just to wait until we file. The target date is on or before April 14, which is the election ban.
Pero around how many officials would be included?
Well, standard is we have to investigate all local officials who are managing the islands such as Boracay. So Most probably in detail, we'll just make the necessary announcement when we file on or before April 14.
Okay, Maricel, then Sheila.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, I understand you mentioned before that if ever na mag-decide si Presidente for a total closure of Boracay, most likely hindi ito itatapat ng peak season. But it seems na natapat siya ng April 26. Why is it, sir?
Well, I guess I made a mistake, but I based it, and of course I have clippings of all the declarations that I quote here. I based it on an earlier interview of Secretary Teo. And I have it on record that there was a mention that it may not happen during the peak season. And as is my habit here, I always give credence to all the public declarations of the members of the cabinet. Obviously, the recommendation of the interagency was not to wait for the peak season, and that was adopted by the interagency. And the recommendation in turn of the interagency was adopted by the cabinet and the president.
Quickly, in reference to what Secretary Harry Roque said, it's true that there was a suggestion to do it in the low season of June. But when we were presented the data by the NR and the ILG and the pollution levels that we are now seeing daily, the recommendation is to move the date earlier. Remember also, we didn't want to talk about Le Boracay, but it was the governor himself and the LGU who decided to cancel Le Boracay. The April 26 really was to avoid the influx of 30,000 people for 5 days, 4 nights, because it will just add to the already problematic sewerage and waste, the waste that is collected. And now that they've canceled it, it gives us more reason to be able to work on it earlier and faster, so that we can bring back the operations of the island earlier.
And sir, it was mentioned earlier that 6 months may not be enough to fully rehabilitate Boracay. So what do we expect, or at least what's our target to accomplish within that period of time?
Well, the big ticket items are really the drainage and sewerage lines that we have now commitments from the concessionaire, from the governor, from the LGU to fix this. We are not just going to watch them fix it. In fact, DPWH has come in and they have sent equipment to help us. Second is the problem with the 190 or so that have violated the 25+5 easement rule. In fact, over the weekend, we got a report that the White Beach is now such a pleasure to walk because there are a lot of establishments that have self-demolished, but we're waiting for the others to do it. And of course, the demolition of the structures built over wetland and forest land. And that will happen. It's not going to take 6 months is really not enough, but at least there's a big ticket items that can be done within the first 6 months.
Just more specific details lang po, because nabanggit nga po ni Sec. Roque kanina na ang first step is to validate kung sino-sino doon sa mga resort owner yung probably may violation. And then what will be the next steps po after that?
Based on the draft timelines that we've made, there will be a drainage audit and rehabilitation. The audit is because there's a lot of sewage, the illegal connections on the drainage, and this is the reason why there are a lot of wastewater discharge in the drainage, when in fact it's supposed to be clean water. So number one, we're actually starting right now through TIEZA, starting this April, and we hope to end the whole rehabilitation process by November of this year. With regard to the validation, that was the latest recommendation we did only just yesterday, because we found out that these establishments who are saying we are compliant ends up to be non-compliant at all. For instance, one hotel, Boracay, I think Boracay, a Crown Regency Prince, said that they are compliant vis-a-vis their STPs. Then we found out they don't even have any sanitary permit nor a functional STP. That's why they had the hotel had to be closed. So what we're going to do, based on the recommendation that we've made only just yesterday, where during the period of closure from May until August of this year, we are going to validate and do an environmental compliance audit for each establishment, whether you say you are compliant or not. So part of these are for them to show all documents that they've properly established or built their resorts or hotels, and then we'll look at all the facilities if they are within the environmental standards that has been set.
Okay, Tuesday New to be followed by Cedric, Ace, Raymond, and Nell.
Hi, sir. To Sec Ricky Alegre, sir. Sir, mula nung lumabas itong balita sa Boracay na ipasasara, I'm sure naapektuhan yung tourism. How is it now, sir? Malaking porsyento ba yung apektado sa tourism industry natin?
Nakakagulat na mula Enero hanggang Marso, umakyat pa. In fact, yung data po namin up to March 31 for the month of March is 3% increase compared to 2017. Kung meron po talagang apektado dito tourism industry. Binanggit po ni Secretary Wanda Tulfo-Teo na nakahanda ang DOT na tanggapin itong pagbagsak ng pagdating para lang masustain at masave yung Boracay. Alam natin ito na binanggit na po ni Secretary Teo, it's one step backwards, one step backward, two steps forward. We have to swallow the bitter pill if we wish to sustain and protect the island of Boracay. We want to bring it back to its paradise feel, that we saw in the 80s. It may not be achieved, but we know that in doing this cleanup and rehab as ordered by the President, more people will come to Boracay. We assure you about that. And it's just something that we have to do. It's a temporary setback, but we will recover the glory days of Boracay.
Do you have figures, sir, kung ilang percent ba ang bumagsak sa tourism, if you have, sir?
Looking at it in the perspective of an investment banker, the estimate, if we will go through the full 6 months, it could reach around 18 to 20 billion potential loss in gross receipts. That's why it is not to the interest of everybody to go the full 6 months. We have to fast track everything. And the only way to be able to do this is to ask everybody, all the stakeholders, to be part of the whole rehabilitation process. We've been receiving volunteers outside of Boracay that they want to go into the island and help in the whole rehab process. So if everybody comes into the picture, we can cut the process by at least 2 months. In fact, I did some pencil pushing, ASEC, because some of the items that we've done in the plan is being done right now by the stakeholders in the provincial government, specifically the dismantling side and the drainage audit. We may be able to have a soft opening in 3 to 4 months if that it's possible. It's possible.
Last na, sir. Last na. Since, sir, bago mag-April 26, nagkaroon na po ba ng some sort of auditing or inventory doon sa mga resort kung mayroon pa sila mga nakabook na tourist na maaapektuhan ng pagsasara, and ilang porsyento po ito?
Ginagawa ho yan ng aming regional director, si Director Catalbas, in coordination with the hotel and resort owners. In fact, nung nagsara ang DILG ng isang resort recently, we were the ones who actually moved the 16 guests to another hotel. Makakaasa po kayo na sa sitwasyon na ganito, kami po ang mag-a-assist sa mga turista na maapekto dito. Kasama na rin po ang tulong ng DOT para ma-rebook at madala sila sa ibang destination sa tulong pa rin po ng hotels and resorts and the airlines who have expressed 100% support for this effort.
Okay, Ace Romero.
To our guests, aside from yung mga audit ng drainage and environmental compliance, what exactly will happen during the 6-month closure?
Nasabi nga kanina ng ating dalawang kasama sa DILG at DOT, hindi lang ang effort natin doon will not only include yung upgrading ng sewer lines and then restoration ng drainage system, but we're looking at illegal structures located in forest lands and wetlands. And we are looking also at the improvement of yung transport system nila in coordination with the DPWH. At nakita rin natin doon sa DNR, sa assessment ng DNR din, may mga protected areas tayo na dapat nating i-rehabilitate doon. Like for example, yung Puka Beach where talagang nandun yung mga Puka shells. So, nung makita nga ni Secretary Simato yun, talagang pinatanggal niya yung mga stalls doon. So, these are just the mga target nating magawa at tutuloy natin. At we are hopeful that at the end of 6 months, we will be able to undertake these efforts.
Secretary
Dagdag lang, very
sige po.
important kasi ito. Si Secretary Simatu through the DNR has already started the directive of already making a study on the current carrying capacity of the island. So once it's done within 90 days yata, Yusek, once it's done, we now have a basis for regulating entry moving forward of people going to the island, including the infrastructure that will still be put up in the island in the future. So at least meron na tayong baseline. That's the most critical part in the whole process that we're undertaking. The carrying capacity is critical, looking at the island as a major tourist destination moving forward.
Yung 6 months po, nabanggit nyo, no, maximum. Pero ano po yung parang iniisip yung best case scenario na hanggang kailan siya closed? Yung pinakamaikling possible time na closed siya?
Dun sa computation ko, kasi dun sa ginawa naming timeline, meron ang ginagawa ngayon yung sa drainage audit tsaka pagdi-dismantle ng illegal structures. Ang tingin namin na in 3 or 4 months pwede na mag-soft opening. Kasi by that time, substantial na yung pag-aayos ng drainage, maayos na yung drainage, natanggal na yung illegal structures. In fact, yung sinasabi ni Yusek Jonas na pagtatanggal ng mga illegal structures on the forest land, we're only looking at dismantling half of it in 6 months' time up to November of this year. Kasi 948 yun eh. So ang target namin is to dismantle half of it by the end of November. So may mga timelines na rin.
Isa na lang po sa akin. Secretary Roque, nabanggit kahapon, baka mag-tap ng calamity funds to assist the...
There will be a declaration of a state of calamity.
Okay.
But the President was insistent that the funds that will be spent will go only to the workers who will be displaced. No? He will not let any resort owner benefit from any sort of calamity fund.
Meron na po bang amount kung magkano yung planong i-disburse for it?
Well, there was a figure mentioned by the Secretary of Finance, and the amount mentioned was 2 billion. No?
2 billion pesos.
For the displaced workers. No? Pero hindi naman lahat ng workers madi-displace. Bakit? Ang daming trabahong kailangan gawin dun sa
Yung mga
Boracay.
construction.
So hindi naman sila kinakailangan umalis lahat no? So siguro maiiba ang trabaho nila, pero magkakaroon pa rin sila ng trabaho sa dami ng dapat gawin sa Boracay, no? So you can imagine na although there are 35,000 workers in Boracay, not all of them will be jobless. They will just have to change jobs for the time being. No?
Yung 2 billion, ilan pong workers yung affected and where will we
Yun na nga
source?
po, 35,000 po.
Where will we source the funds?
Well, meron naman pong calamity funds available, no? Meron niyang calamity funds na national government, may calamity funds din yan ng local government. No?
So both po?
At
both.
meron ding DSWD at
Okay.
meron din po sa DOLE, yung tupad na tinatawag. No?
Okay.
Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Ace.
Maidagdag ko lang, we wanted to thank Secretary Bello. Nagpayag na siya ng work for 5,000 initially, displaced workers, who will be paid minimum wage to do other work than what they're used to doing. And this is welcome. At ginagawa na ng regional director namin yung listahan at hinihingi na rin sa mga local stakeholders kung sino yung una maaapekto during the time of shutdown.
That's the tupad program of the DOLE.
Sir, dagdagan ko lang yung sinabi ni Asik Alegre at ni Secretary Roque. Yung calamity fund na susuporta natin dun sa mga na-displaced na workers will only pertain dun sa mga legitimate hoteliers and businesses there. If you will note that there are several hotels na located dun sa mga hindi naman dapat kalagyan, like for example, forest land. So in the first place, they should not be there. So kung may ma-displaced mga workers, it should be handled by the hotel themselves, not the government.
Okay, reminder MPC, one question, two follow-ups. Marami pang gusto magtanong. Raymond Tinasa.
Good noon, gentlemen. Sir, as Ricky mentioned a while ago, na there are more problems being discovered now and some are blatant violations of our environmental laws. Sir, hindi ba ito will that warrant closure of the establishment na napatunayan nakita natin ngayon na talagang lantaran yung pagbalahura sa kalikasan?
Alam mo, ang kagandahan nito, si Governor ang nakakadiskubre together with the Interagency Task Force. At automatically, they have to shut down operations. Lalo na yung mga tinago under the yung sand, no? At sabi nga namin, akala namin compliant, yung pala hindi. So, this will give us really enough time to probe. And remember, Boracay Water has said only 47% of the 1,900 are connected to the sewerage treatment plant. Saan po nakakonect yung 53%, which is about 1,000? Saan po sila nagdi-discharge? Ang suspetsya namin, yun yung mga nagtap dun sa storm drainage, tinap, instead of water lang dapat dun, nagtap po ng sewerage line nila. Yun ang nagiging problema. At tama ka, every day is a new day, but hopefully makita natin yung entire picture in the next few weeks.
Sugang ko lang yun, no? Si Governor Miraflores said nga na ang unang ginawa is yung rehabilitation ng drainage lines, no? Which originally was only supposed to carry rainwater. Pero ang ginagawa nung hindi nakakabit sa sewage line, doon sila nakakabit, no? So now ang sabi niya, ang ginawa na, and they did not have to wait for the closure, no, was for rehabilitation of the 3 existing lines, no. Pero kinakailangan pa rin magtayo ng water treatment facility para bagamat nandyan na yan drainage system na yan at dapat rainwater na rin yan, kung lalagyan mo yan ng iba other than rainwater, dapat yan bago lumabas ang system, no, magkaroon ng water system, no, water treatment system, no. So yan po yung mga major works talagang gagawin, no. It's not just the conveyance, ang tawag po dyan yung conveyance, yung mga pipes, no. Pero anong gagawin? Hindi naman po pwedeng ipalabas lang yan, no. So ang option talaga ngayon is for individual resorts to prove that they have their own STPs, or if they tap into the existing rehabilitated drainage system, then there must be a company that will build a water treatment system. Now, Boracay 2B has said that they're willing, kaya lang may PPP na kinakailangan aproban ng gobyerno, no? Kasi it's a private sector-led initiative na magkaroon ng water treatment facility bago lumabas yung discharge doon sa mga drainage systems.
Last, sir, sir, meron na ba kayong advice doon sa ating mga tourism attachés kasi para may yung mga foreign tourists makapag-adjust sila ng new package at makapunta sa ibang paradise, kasi hindi lang naman Boracay yung paradise, meron din kaming pagudpud sa norte. So,
Opo, in fact, yan po ang naging mensahe since 2 months ago ni Secretary Teo. We sent an advisory to all our tourism attachés all over the world and told them that business as usual, kailangan lang ho lumipat muna during the time of the rehabilitation. Receptive po, at tama ka, pagod po this one. Bohol is a ideal alternative destination, so is the province of Cebu. And Siargao is there, especially Palawan, and all the way from Bataan, Zambales, Pangasinan, all the way to Pagudpod in Ilocos Norte is an ideal alternative destination. I think we've said this many times. Remind all the tourists who want to come to the booming tourism industry of the Philippines that we have the advantage of many alternative destinations. We just need the work and help of the airlines and the hotels to achieve this.
Thank you, Raymond. Rose, then Darrell, and Nell.
Ay, good morning. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, DILG po. Sir, ano yung mga kasong pwedeng isampa ng gobyerno laban po dun sa mga kapitalistang may mga paglabag na ginawa? Sa hindi po ba, parang hindi po tama yata na closure lang? Kasi may mga ginawa silang violation eh. Ano yung mga kasong pwedeng isampa ng gobyerno laban sa
Doon
kanila?
sa mga pribado, kasama sa investigating team yung CIDG, no? Ang CIDG will have to look on the private sector side. Most probably itong mga nasa mga pribadong institusyon na nag-violate ng mga batas natin sa solid waste, sa clean water, yun pong titingnan kasi meron mga criminal aspect yan. Yung pangatlo, kung meron tayong malinaw na ebidensya, sila ay nakakuha ng mga ng maka-permit na hindi dumaan sa tamang proseso at mapapalabas na sila ay naglagay sa mga taong gobyerno para makakuha lamang. Yun po ay isasama rin natin sa potential na kaso na ibibigay sa mga pribadong sektor. So ang tinitingnan talaga natin dito, bukod sa mga lokal na opisyal, may pribado, at tinitingnan rin ho natin, baka meron ding makasama sa DNR, nakasama sa buong sindikato. Pag nakita natin along the way, ipapasa namin sa DNR for them to do their own investigation, kung mga tao po nila yun.
Thank you.
Dagdagan ko lang yung sinabi ni Asik Epi, no? So in looking at the possible liabilities of the private sectors, yun doon naman sa mga batas ng environmental laws, nandun din naman yung mga karampatang parusa doon. Like for example, sa clean water, the government can issue cease and desist order, even closure. Kaya lang, we have to follow yung certain procedural requirements. So medyo kailangan pa i-fast track natin yon, no? Kaya nga sinasabi lagi natin dito, it's not only a cleansing of the Boracay Island. It's also a cleansing of our ranks in the government. Perhaps may mga pagkukulang, may mga gaps na dapat din nating i-address. So ito yung gagawin natin.
Daryl?
Hi, good afternoon, Asik Densing. Sir, you mentioned kanina yung regulation of the entry of tourists. So, will this be implemented after the cleanup? Kasi sabi niyo po 90 days lang po yung study.
Ay, hindi po. On or before April 26 na implement na natin yung pagsasara, meron na akong ginawang guidelines, draft guidelines ang ating kapulisan at yung ating mga kasunduluhan dun sa RPOC, no, Regional Peace and Order Council. We're just reviewing it. Then we will issue a form of a memorandum circular na ito ang guidelines na susundin kung papaano ang hindi pagpapapasok ng turista sa doon pa lang sa port mismo, at magkakaroon tayo ng identification system para naman doon sa mga residents ng Boracay Island para may laya silang pumasok at lumabas sa isla dahil doon naman talaga sila nakatira. So there will be a guidelines that we will issue soon. What will happen is that this will be implemented by the Philippine National Police, and if the President will declare a state of calamity, we may also get as a complementary support from the armed forces.
So sir, ultimately, meron tayong parang limit na maglalabas kayo ng number na ito lang po yung ano?
Ay, hindi po.
Wala pong ganun.
Talagang pag na-identify silang mga turista, whether foreign, local, hindi talaga sila papapasukin muna sa isla. Ang papapasukin lang natin yung mga residente ng Boracay Island.
Sige po.
Okay.
Last na lang po, to DOT. Sir, you mentioned po kanina yung government wanted to prevent the influx of people arriving for Labor Boracay. So, yung April 26 po ba, did you have Labor Boracay in mind in setting the April 26 as the start of the shutdown?
Actually, yes. But when the governor came forward to say he's canceling it, and then we saw the reports from DNR, we figured that the sooner it's shut down, the better, because we don't want to put people in harm's way. We don't want people to be exposed to the pollution. Remember, it's in the eastern portion of the island where and that's where yung kite surfers take off from, mostly foreigners. And that's where the problem of the pollution is. We can no longer ignore that, and we don't want to put people in danger. In fact, we have received reports that some who have cuts in their legs and they dip their water in that portion of Bulabog Beach, they encounter problems, and we don't want it to escalate. That's why we're also bringing the Department of Health to help us and monitor this for us, because that's really a takeoff point for the kite surfers, and sports activities there is also there's a lot of people in that area.
Announcement, no? We're doing a press briefing, our Tuesday press briefing in Boracay, in time for the working conference that they will be having in the island. So make your own arrangements, please, if you want to join the press briefing on Tuesday.
Okay, sir. Nell, to be followed by Dexter, then Cedric. I'm sorry, pero sunod-sunod muna tayo. Si Nell muna.
Sir, to ASEC Densing. Regarding dun sa counting scenario lang po during the closure, you said merong AFP and mga additional na PNP na i-deploy from national
The
to
other way
Luzon.
around. PNP, then hopefully kasama po yung AFP.
Meron po bang total closure ng mga building dun sa resort mismo, or ano po yung mga
Yun ang issue. As I mentioned, starting May, we will have a team to move around the whole island para isa-isahin yung mga establishments, whether they claim to be compliant or not. Isa-isahin namin lahat yan. Then as we go along, pag nakita ho natin merong mga non-compliant in terms of documents, in terms of their facilities, in terms of their STPs, magpapalabas na tayo ng mga notices of violation and notices to explain. Yun na pa yung proseso ng pagsasara ng bawat establishment. So we're undertaking a process to give due process to all institutions or businesses inside the island.
Sir, may estimation na po ba tayo kung ilang mga buildings or establishment ang magigiba po dito?
Well, on the forest land, we're talking about, as I mentioned, 948. So for purposes of the forest land, we have to validate also. They might have a lease agreement. So we're targeting half on the forest land. For the buildings and resorts, we're only looking at 102 or 109 that has violated the 30-meter easement rule. So with that, if they do not self-demolish, then government comes into the picture to demolish them so that they can be compliant. And there will be charged eventually for violating certain laws.
Okay.
I take back
MPC.
the announcement. We will be in China on Tuesday. I should have looked at my calendar first. I was too excited to go to Boracay before the rehabilitation. I take it back. I guess many of you will also be in China, no? Okay.
Okay, friendly reminder, MPC, one question, one follow-up. Marami pa tayo. Dexter.
Bago yung aking tanong kay Asek Alegre, huwag mo kalimutan sir na isama din yung aming White Sand Beaches sa Sarangani province.
Approve.
Soxar Junior.
Approve.
Yeah. Sir, sa DNR, maraming nagka-question ng mga negosyante. Ano daw yung mapa na ginamit? Ito ba yung mapping na isinagawa after ng proclamation ni President Gloria Arroyo na isinagawa or may bagong mapping ang DNR para doon sa pag-identify doon sa mga forest land, mga wetlands and other mappings doon sa Boracay Island?
Meron kaming agency tinatawag nating NAMRIA. So we have files of maps into 2007, 2008 and up to the present. So what we did was we just get yung 2007 aming data and then we overlay yung aming existing na nakita natin sa satellite. Nakita natin doon, like for example, in the wetlands. Normally, sa old map natin, meron tayong 9 wetlands. But nung in-overlay namin yung existing na mapa natin, 3 na lang ang nakikita natin doon. So, yung mga iba na reclaim na, yung mga iba na tabunan na ng mga ibang building. So, ito yung tinututukan natin na kasama doon sa mga 6 months na duration natin na i-address natin. Dahil very important yung paglilinis din ng wetlands because these are the temporary catchment or storage of rainwater and storm water. That's the reason why Boracay Island experiencing flooding nowadays because wala nang daanan kasi daluyan yung mga tubig na dapat pumunta muna dito sa mga temporary storage before they are finally discharged sa water body.
Kasi 'di ba may desisyon ang Korte Suprema dati na bawal talaga magpatitulo ng lupa doon sa Boracay.
Yeah.
At ito i-implement ngayon sa
ngayon ang utos ng ating kalihim Secretary Simato, wala muna kaming i-issue permit unless we have already completed our rehabilitation in the island.
Thank you.
Meron nga palang nabanggit si Presidente kahapon, no, na matapos ang rehabilitation, pwede naman pag-aralan yung pag-issue na ng titulo doon sa mga valid claimants, no. Pero ang sinabi lang niya, this will have to be the valid claimants, not necessarily the resort owners, no. Yung magpapakita na under existing laws, they have rights to claim titles, no? So parang yan naman yung kapalit na sinasabi ni Presidente after rehabilitation, pag-aralan din natin kung paano natin mabibigyan ng titulo yung karamihan ng mga taga Boracay, hindi lang yung mga ilang pamilya. Dahil parang 3 pamilya lang ang may titulo dyan sa Boracay, no? So, yun naman ang naging pangako din ni Presidente.
Okay, thank you. RJ, Bernadette, then Chona.
Sir, you mentioned already the calamity funds and livelihood. Sir, lahat-lahat ba ng mawawala ng hanap buhay? Pag sinabing lahat-lahat, including na yung mga vendors, mga kumikita ng arawan, makakaasa ba sila ng tulong?
Calamity fund. Well, I think we responded to that earlier, no? The President said that he will declare a state of calamity to enable the spending of calamity funds for these types of individuals, no? The small individuals.
So, lahat ng mawawalan
including,
ng hanap buhay.
including the indigenous people.
Yes.
In fact, DILG together with DNR we're talking to them. There's a group of religious nuns that are taking care of them and we're going to bring them in. Inutos na rin po sa amin na pati yan asikasuhin namin kasi sila naman ang nawalan chance development ng Boracay, and we want them to enjoy the island the way it should be, and they will be included in the efforts to help them during this time of rehabilitation.
Okay po, sir.
Okay, Bernadette.
Sir, tatanong ko lang po kung ilan po yung mawawalan ng trabaho dun sa 35,000 po. 'Di ba 35,000 workers po yung meron sa Boracay. So ilan po yung estimate po natin dun?
Gumawa kami ng estimate out of the 17,000 who are direct hire. We estimate half of them mawawalan ng pakakawalan ng mga establishmento para wag na magtrabaho. We have to identify also that there are also employees who are regular employees. So they cannot just be kicked out. Otherwise, they have to pay separation pay, which is higher than the regular. So baka i-maintain yan. No? So we're looking at kung 17,000, 8,500. Then we're looking at another 10 to 12,000 dun sa indirect, yung mga nagtatricycle, nagtitinda. So pag na-identify na ho natin sila na mababawasan o mamawala ng kita, sila pang bibigyan ng unang take the initial crack of be given the bridge, work that government will be giving in the island.
Bridge work po, as in yun sa
Tulay
construction?
lang. Hindi, tulay lang siya. Sabihin bridge kasi temporary lang kasi. So bridge work, bridge loan. So because it's just temporary.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Kay Sec Alegre po, ano po yung mga tourist spots po na you're looking into po after nitong Boracay po?
Okay, we would like to announce that the Interagency Task Force announced yesterday during the lunch meeting that we will visit Puerto Galera soon. We want to also inspect, if you're referring to the effort to clean up, Puerto Galera is going to be visited next by the Interagency Task Force. We have received reports of the conditions there, and we want again to help rehabilitate. We're also looking at, and DILG and DNR has already started looking into El Nido and Coron. Coron Bay has reportings of some pollution as well. We've also been asked to look at the problems in Siargao. It's such a hot destination now, and we wish to help them with their sewage treatment plant and their garbage disposal system. And of course, Bohol, which Governor Chato has already moved, and we're going to also visit these areas. Remember, Boracay is just the start. The President has already given the Interagency Task Force the orders to take a look at all, because we want, as I said, the Philippines not only to be a fun place to be in, but also environmentally compliant.
Last na ma'am, last na po. Doon po sa casino, sir, ano pong plano po? Kasi may decision na foreclosure. So ano pong mangyayari doon sa
Okay,
casino po?
officially the Department of Tourism under Secretary Wanda Tulfo-Teo has said, we have not received to date a application for accreditation. So there's nothing for us to comment. In our initial communications with the people of PAGCOR, they say it will take years before anything can be started. I think DNR also has a official statement mentioned, Yusek?
Similar to what Asik has mentioned a while ago, the DNR has not received any application for ECC or any discharge permit, and that perhaps if they will be submitting to us the necessary documentary requirements for ECC, maybe that's the time we will be evaluating it, and we will determine whether to accept or deny it based on scientific parameters.
On the side of the ALG, we are issuing this caveat or warning to all local officials of Malay and Aklan that they should not be issuing any local permits until and unless the DNR has given the necessary environmental clearances to any applicant, especially this casino, in the island, to put up an establishment in the island. So warning po, pag kayo nag-issue, makakasuhan din kayo ulit.
Thank you po. Last three, Salarina, Pia, and then Chona.
Follow up lang, sir, dun sa question na yun. Kasi you have mentioned na currently, there's this study by the DNR on the current capacity na po pwede lang i-hold yung island. So, right now, kasi di ba nagkakaroon na nga tayo ng problema due to overcrowding, magkakaroon ba ng moratorium sa pag-put up ng additional establishment dun sa area? And pa-segue din, pakipromote din, saan nilang Mabini, Batangas, 2 to 3 hours away from Metro Manila.
Um, Actually, yung carrying capacity natin, as said, no, by the resource persons, the DNR is doing and conducting now the updating of the carrying capacity. We had one study of carrying capacity, but it was in 2007 pa. So medyo pasado pa yung mga parameters doon. But then, even without the carrying capacity, looking at what is happening now in Boracay, wherein illegal structures are already encroaching easements and wetlands and forest lands. And then the garbage problem has been tremendous. So parang ito yung nagiging parameters na mataas na rin. Pero what is the usefulness of the carrying capacity will be after the rehabilitation. Kasi ang carrying capacity na will determine the sustainability of the rehabilitation we will be doing in Boracay. Kasi pag hindi natin ginawa yung carrying capacity na requirements, baka naman after nitong 6 months, bumalik na naman yung dating sitwasyon. So, yung carrying capacity will now serve as guide kung how many tourists should be absorbed by the island, how many developments should be allowed in the island. So, ang critical dito kasi rehabilitation muna, and then the carrying capacity will set the threshold and limit on what development should be allowed in the Boracay Island.
If I may add lang to that. Remember, this is not something new. The subterranean river in Palawan, we have a 2,000 cap daily. You can no longer go there and go in. You have to register online. Mount Apo has been slowly reopened, and again, only certain numbers are allowed to enter and trek Mount Apo. So this is not new, something new, and the interagency task force will do the same thing for Boracay. When we resume operations, we're going to have to control the number of people entering the island.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez.
Hi sir, sa DOT po. Sir, what assistance will the DOT give to those who are looking to refund their bookings sa hotel and sa airline tickets, especially those who nag-book ng promo fares, which is essentially non-refundable?
The airlines have already expressed support. In fact, we're very pleased with what the two major airlines here have said, that they will not charge rebooking and cancellation fees, and they will refund. You can come to us for help if it doesn't happen. In terms of the hotels and resorts, the Secretary Teo has been meeting with the airlines, the resorts, tour operators, so that we can work with them and figure a way to immediately get their refund or help them rebook to a later date. Remember, this is something also not new. Last year, when martial law was declared in Marawi, we encountered the same problem, but we survived it with the help of all the tourism stakeholders. A lot of the people that were planning but did not go were able to redirect their flights to another area or book it for some other later date. So this is something not new to us, and we just have to work triple time to make sure that all those affected will be attended to.
Last na lang, sir. Will the interagency task force recommend an extension of the 6-month period if we discover na yung mga problems sa Boracay is bigger than what we initially discovered?
We follow the president's orders, maximum 6 months. So we have to hit the ground running to make sure that we keep it within the maximum of 6 months.
Final question, Chona?
Sir, base po sa records, 2 million yung tourist arrival sa 2016 and each tourist po ay nagbabayad ng 75 pesos. So, kung ito total, 150 million. Pero base po sa declaration ng local government officials, 90 million lamang yung kanilang kinita. So, ito ba inimbestigahan ng interagency task force, and kung isasama ba ito sa charges that you are going to file against local executives?
I think nabanggit ko nga yan in one of my interviews. In 2017, they collected 91 million. Tapos nakalagay doon kung paano ginamit. When in fact, kung 2 million ang dumating, dapat that should be around the 150 million. So may nawawala. I will not pass judgment at the moment. We're in the process of asking an audit team to do that. Just to justify then, kung may nakita tayong anomalya, that's the only time we'll come in and give and make the necessary administrative or even criminal charges if that happens. So no judgment at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps.
I guess, by way of concluding remarks, alam niyo po talaga yung Boracay na yan, kilala natin yan bilang paraiso, no? Dito sa ating bayan. At itong panandaliang pagsara po ng Boracay ay para masiguro na makikilala ng mga susunod na henerasyon bilang paraiso rin yung Boracay na yan. So, sandali lang po yan, but Boracay will be relaunched. Boracay will always be there, and the closure is necessary to ensure that Boracay will be there for the next generation. No? I'd like to thank our guests, and yes.
I was just informed by Undersecretary Kat De Castro, Mr. Secretary, we're calling for a massive cleanup before April 26. We'd like to use this opportunity to course it through the Malacanang Press Corps. In Bali, they had 20,000 people that came for one day. We intend to pass the 20,000 mark. We will soon announce when, before April 26, this will happen. And we encourage, as we have been getting from all private sector groups, that they will come and help do a major cleanup and exceed the 20,000 mark. We're confident that we will make it over 20,000 and await the complete details of this major cleanup day before the 26th.
Maybe we will have our press briefing in time for the cleanup.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque.
And of course, please, in all our subsequent press briefing, all the three of you don't have to be here, but at least one of you, if you can join us, because I'm sure there will be other questions on the closure of Boracay, no? Just to make sure that there's someone who is really on top of the Boracay rehab. So thank you very much to our guests. Thank you. And to the members of the Malacanang Press Corps, to the entire Philippines. Maraming salamat po. Hanggang sa susunod po nating press briefing.
Okay,
Magandang
thank you,
hapon po.
Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. And to our guests, back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and People's Television Network.